Is Canelo Alvarez really ducking the smoke with David Benavidez? Obviously, you guys have been seeing the social media posts from David and his father. They're not happy with Canelo Alvarez. They're saying, we definitely bring something to the table because Canelo's saying that, there's not much to gain. What am I gaining from fighting David Benavidez? There's no point. I'm gonna go fight Jaime Munguia, big fight. So that's what he's done. Obviously, David's not happy with it, and he's saying, Canelo doesn't have the balls to fight me. But I think it's an interesting topic. Even Andre Ward talked about the fact that as good as Canelo is, he's a great fighter, this and that, but he's not fighting the best opposition out there. He hasn't even fought Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford's is a big name. He even made the comparison to saying, because Canelo has said that he wouldn't get credit for Terence Crawford, which is such a hot take. I don't know anyone who wouldn't give credit to Canelo Alvarez for beating Terence. But Canelo Alvarez was kind of playing with that and saying that, he wouldn't get the credit he deserves because ultimately Terence is too small of a fighter. But like, you're talking about a pound for pound fighter in Terence Crawford, somebody who just got off the biggest win of their career, becoming undisputed at 147 pounds, that money division, that money fight from Errol Spence Jr., which isn't easy to do. To beat another pound for pound great fighter is something that Canelo honestly hasn't done in a while. Realistically, I like Canelo, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be a Canelo hater, but I do think that there are fights that, the David Benavidez fight, there's no excuse for that fight to not be made. I'm not saying Jaime Munguia has never been in a boring fight. We know that. We know it's going to be an interesting fight. It's going to be something exciting, especially for the Mexican fans, the sport of boxing. It's going to be a great fight, but ultimately, this isn't what we asked for. We asked for David Benavidez, and we're not getting that. That's ultimately the case. And Andre Ward talked about how, at least fight Terence Crawford. You fought Amir Khan, and he was much smaller, so what's the difference in fighting a guy like Terence Crawford who's, definitely more reputable, especially right now. So I feel like Canelo's just looking for paydays and not necessarily, the most risky fights out there for him that really excite the fans. So it is what it is at the end of the day. He's earned the right to call shots. I'm not saying he hasn't earned that right. I just mean, for the fans, ultimately, he's never going to get them off their backs unless he fights the likes of Terence Crawford, the likes of David Benavidez. You don't have to fight David Morrell. We're not asking for that. We're asking for David Benavidez because ultimately that's the fight we've been asking for the past 2 to 3 years, and he hasn't given it to us, at least not yet. And David Benavidez said, don't be surprised if that's the fight I make, in September of this year. So next fall, maybe we could be seeing it, is what David Benavidez is trying to say. And we also heard the news about David Benavidez and Tank Davis being on the same card with Frank Martin. So that's a big event. David puts on a stellar performance and maybe, hits that call out on the mic one more time, and maybe it pushes for that fight, and give it a last hurrah. Because ultimately, if David really puts on a great performance on that Amazon Prime card, and I consider that the real first Amazon Prime event. I don't really care for especially the fact that Thurman pulled out of this March 30th bout. It's really just Rolly and Isaac Cruz going at it, and the Tim Tszyu fight isn't really a main event anymore. It's just like, it's gonna be interesting, don't get me wrong. It'll be a firefight. I just mean, name wise, I think the co-main event's gonna get more buys than the actual main event, in my opinion. But yeah, I just think Canelo needs to go for those big fights, those just to put your stamp on the fact that you are fearless, that you're willing to do legendary stuff. He's already gone up in weight. He's done all of this. So what's, fighting a guy like David Benavidez, that's showing that you don't care. That's showing that, like, no matter what, you're not afraid of anybody. And then even fighting a guy like Terence Crawford, who's willing to go up to 168 pounds to fight you. That's what Andre Ward is talking about. That's why he's saying, Canelo doesn't really want to fight the best fighters in the world right now, is because, like, why wouldn't you take that fight? There's so much money that could be made in that fight. And I'm sure because the Errol Spence fight with Terence Crawford was made on Showtime, it was made with, the help of Al Heyman, that they could definitely make that fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. And that's a big money fight. I don't care about what anybody says. It shocked me when Canelo Alvarez said that, no one would give me credit for that fight. Someone let me know in the comments. Someone give me a call and tell me that you wouldn't respect Canelo Alvarez if he goes in there and he beats up Terence Crawford and gets a a convincing win, I would be impressed. That would show me a lot, because there's a lot of advantages that Terrence Crawford has, despite what people think about weight. I understand that there are weight classes for a reason, but I also know what Terrence Crawford is bringing to the table. I know what skills he possesses, so I'm not worried about that. You know what I mean? I feel like the foot speed, the hand speed, the ring IQ, it's in favor of Terrence Crawford. I just think he's the more talented fighter when it's all said and done. As much as I like Canelo, I still have Terrence Crawford ahead of Canelo on that pound for pound list. Don't get me wrong, like I appreciate going up in weight. That's all great, but to beat the best in your weight class, not fighting David Benavidez is really hurting Canelo. At least in my book, you have to give the fans what they want. It's not Jaime Munguia. I'm sure you're gonna sell some pay-per-views in that fight. You're going to get a lot of Mexican fans out there, as you would with David Benavidez, but the difference is David Benavidez is also known by people in all around the boxing world. In the United States, David Benavidez is a big name, so I would love to see Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez, just like the rest of you guys in the sport of boxing. But, I also understand the business aspect of wanting to get the biggest fights with the lowest amount of risk. That's ultimately the business of boxing. You fight, and you go through these difficult training camps. You put yourself through that hardship to ultimately become a prize fighter, to become that fighter that fights for a lot more than what other fighters are dreaming of making. So like ultimately I get that, I understand that. I just think that when it comes down to when everything's all said and done, it's all people are only going to remember what you did do most recently. They don't care what you did all the way years back. You lost to Floyd, like that's ultimately what people are going to remember him for. They always remember the losses. I don't think people really care about the Bivol loss as much as they do about the Floyd Mayweather loss, because Bivol was like, all right, you're just going to territory where you can't hang. You can't hang with a natural 75 pounder. It's just too much. That's an instance of there are weight classes for a reason. But Terrence Crawford's obviously a specimen, and if he's willing to take that shot, why not give it to him? David Benavidez is the best fighter in your weight class. Why not give him that big fight? It's just that's honestly my take on it. I think that's just a big fight. I think it's a win-win for Canelo. He wins that fight. People understand that he's the best in the world. They're going to give him that acknowledgement. But if he loses, obviously there's that state of damn, I lost again. I lost to Bivol, I lost to Mayweather, but ultimately who cares? It's just that level of backlash that you get from the fans. But ultimately that's just giving the fans what they want to see. Let's see that Benavidez fight with Canelo. If not, let's see Terrence and Canelo. So that's my take on it. I think Canelo should go for those more riskier fights. I think Munguia is going to be a good fight, but I don't think he has what it takes to beat a guy like Canelo. I think Canelo ultimately stops him. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. That's going to do it for another Nads Fight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.